New York's classic rock, Q1043.
And I say good morning to Karen Pearl. She is the president and CEO of God's Love We Deliver, which delivers food to New Yorkers who are basically shut in because they have severe or chronic illnesses. Welcome, Karen. How are you holding up?
I'm doing great, Shirley. Thank you so much for inviting me today.
So, God's Love We Deliver, I remember all the way back in the 80s. And it started as an organization to help AIDS patients.
Mhm.
Now, if you weren't around in the 80s, AIDS was a total unknown. All we knew was that people were dying, and more so gay people were dying, but we didn't know in the beginning how it was transmitted. So some people, well, a lot of people just didn't want to get near anyone who had AIDS because they were terrified they would get this deadly disease, which, by the way, is no longer deadly thanks to science. So tell us about that, how it all started, because that was a miracle for the community.
Right. Well, I really appreciate that. And I am going to tell you that, but I am going to also say there's so many parallels to today from that pandemic to this pandemic where people are, again, terrified. They're afraid to be near other people. They don't know how they're going to get this illness. And the science keeps changing, right? So first we weren't supposed to wear masks. Then we discovered we should because it's airborne. So there's a lot of parallels. So back then in the 80s, we did bring food, which I think, I wasn't at God's Love yet, so I can say this, was a truly miraculous thing. That strangers went to strangers' homes and brought them food to nourish them and to try to keep them alive for as long as they could. And we learned a lot then. We learned a lot about the role of food and nutrition in sustaining people, in making it possible for them once medications came on the market, about how you should take your medications, what you take with food, what you take not with food, what kind of food you need to make it most effective. So very early on, it was truly calling people out of the blue and asking them if they could help volunteer. And that's what made God's Love very much of a volunteer supported organization. Every year we have about 17,000 volunteers who work
Wow.
with us. It's amazing. It's truly, truly amazing. So here we are in this new pandemic where many of our volunteers who had been with us for so many years said, I can't come in anymore. I have underlying conditions. I'm older. I'm this, I'm that. Of course, we understood that. And of course, we wish them well. And we have all these new people who have stepped up to say, I'm working from home. I need something to do that. If the environment is safe, that I want to do. So we have new volunteers who are helping us deliver in our kitchen, helping meal packaging, and helping in our offices. So we're very fortunate. The community understands that when people are really sick and they can't take care of themselves, they need other people to help. But we have made changes like no contact deliveries, which makes me very sad, but keeps our volunteers very safe, which is why we do it. So we call ahead and then we knock when we get there. We leave the food on the doorknob and our drivers step away and they wait for the client to come out, pick up the food, and then they still have the same kind of conversation they always would have had. They're just having it like the rest of us, socially distanced, with masks on, with gloves on. And our clients literally come to their doors mostly with masks on, some with gloves on, some with face shields. They're terrified that they're going to get sick. So obviously our goal is to keep our staff and volunteers who are on site healthy, and then to make sure that how we deliver does not put anybody in any jeopardy.
How has your need changed during the pandemic? How has it increased?
Well, Shelley, literally overnight, the city shut down, which you'll remember, which meant senior homes shut down, daycare shut down, school shut down. All the ways that people got food just shut down. They were gone. And overnight, we got over 3,000 phone calls from people saying, I don't know what to do. I need your help. And we did everything that we could to rise to that. We brought on temp staff. We made sure that people could work from home if they had to. We did everything really fast so that we could respond to those 3,000 phone calls. So today we are providing medically tailored meals, which is what we do, tailored for the person's specific medical situation, to 30% more meals than we
Wow.
did pre-pandemic. So we're cooking 11,000 meals, getting them out every weekday, and getting, knocking on all those people's homes, on their doors. But 30% increase. It's been pretty wild.
Has it been in any way up and down? Because, for a while we seemed to be, on the mend and on the decline. And now, of course, we're seeing a ginormous spike, and we're not going to be out of the woods for weeks.
Correct. So those 30% new clients have, for the most part, stayed on our program because, again, our clients, it was true, it was a little less scary, but they're still really not going out. I suspect we're now about to see another big jump, but we don't know that quite yet. But people continue to get sick, so we get new referrals, and people are that much more scared again, because it does have the feeling, even though we can see the vaccine on the horizon, it does have a feel that there's another mountain to get there.
Yeah, we're almost there, but we're not there yet.
No.
Do you have enough volunteers for God's Love We Deliver?
Well, we always need volunteers to do special things, and different shifts are easier than others to fill. So if people want to volunteer, they should go to our website, which is glwd.org. And right on the homepage, you'll see a really big box that says volunteer. Click there, and you can then sign up for shifts.
And if people are listening and they're thinking to themselves, my God, I didn't know there was an organization like this, and I am someone who is in need, are you still open to helping others?
Absolutely. God's Love believes very strongly, and our staff and our board are totally committed to this, that we will never turn away anyone who qualifies for our program. So you need to be sick, and you need to not be able to shop or cook for yourself. And then a doctor or medical professional has to attest to that, or your health plan has to attest to that. But absolutely, we will not say no. So if you need us, we will be, assuming you're in our service area. I mean, I wish I could say wherever you lived, but it's really for the most part, it is the boroughs of New York City.
I'm speaking with Karen Pearl. She's the president and CEO of God's Love We Deliver, which since around 85 has been
Right.
delivering meals to severely ill people and people with chronic illnesses where it's unsafe for them to leave home. And of course, the need so much more now during the pandemic. It's been a challenging time for any organization to do fundraising because, number one, people are tapped out. Number two, people who were never in need themselves are suddenly in need and relying on food banks. So how are you doing with your fundraising? How can you cut through and get your need out to people so that they respond?
Mhm. God's Love is relatively fortunate. As soon as people hear about us and hear that we are providing tailored meals for people who are the sickest of the sick, the most vulnerable during COVID, the ones for whom going to the hospital is potentially the most deadly, they say, oh, I'd like to be part of that. If I can, I'd love to donate. If I can't, even if I do donate, but also if I can't, I can volunteer. And I can also think about spreading the word. And shows like yours, Shelley, actually help us to do that. And so this has been a very scary time. Things like our normal gala doesn't happen. We just had a virtual one, which was terrific. But fundraising is difficult. But ultimately, as happened during HIV and now during COVID, people really understand that what we do is life-saving. It's life-saving, and then it's life-sustaining. And what makes you feel better than that? Helping people really continue to live and to manage some very difficult life circumstances and medical situations. And that's what we're here to do. And our nutritionists talk to our clients all the time to make sure they're doing all right and that they are getting the right food that is really helping them feel better.
I have to say, the last time you guys were up, you brought some of your brownies, some of the best brownies I ever had. I mean, you have fantastic chefs. This is yummy. You nutritious. Well, I don't know how nutritious the brownie was, but it sure was yummy. This was wonderful food, and you do wonderful work. How did you come to God's Love We Deliver?
I literally was recruited by a recruiter. Then after the former CEO, who remains a really good friend to God's Love and to me, left, and she became one of our funders, actually. So that's a very lovely story. And originally, to tell you the truth, I said, I don't think I'm interested. But I always loved God's Love because I had lots of friends during the AIDS crisis who were helped by God's Love. So I always knew about it. And she said, oh, just go interview. You haven't interviewed for a job in a really, really long time. Just go. And I went, and I absolutely fell in love with the people, with the mission, with everything that was happening. And then it was an easy sell because I've been here 14 years. I've loved every minute of it.
Where did you work before?
I worked at Planned Parenthood,
Ah,
and I also love that. Love that job too. So I'm a very lucky person in my career. I have worked at wonderful places for a very long time. I'm
and
a roots person. I like to settle in.
it feels good when you help people. There's nothing that makes you feel better than to help someone. If you can donate, we want you to donate. If you're in need or you want to volunteer,
GLWD.org, God's Love We Deliver. If it's easier to write it out, you can do that too. .org.
And again, I appeal to the Q104.3 family. I know that life isn't normal. Your life isn't normal. Everyone is hurting. This is keeping people alive. This is basically keeping people alive. So I thank you, Karen Pearl. I thank you, Q family, because I know you're going to come through for God's Love We Deliver. And happy holidays and a safe, healthy holiday season to you, Karen Pearl. And thank you for all your good work. And coming up next, I'm going to be talking to Tommy Oliver. His documentary, 40 Years a Prisoner, is on HBO Max, and it chronicles one of the most controversial shootouts in American history, the 1978 Philadelphia police raid on the radical group MOVE. It's controversial till this day. Didn't know the whole story till this day. Coming up next, Q104.3.
New York's classic rock, Q1043.